Hello, welcome to my channel. Today I'm going to show you two methods of making chili bite, which is also called bhajia. The first method is straight from the box, which was actually requested from a viewer, and we are just going to make the ordinary type of chili bite. This chili bite is a Packo chili bite mix of you can find it in any shop. This is 250 gram of chili bite mix. It is already mixed up with all your items that's needed to make your chili bite. And also remember, behind the box they have lovely beautiful recipes that you can make different types of chili bite. For the chili bite, I have a bunch of dhania that I picked up the leafy part, washed and cleaned and drained out, but of which I'm not going to use all the dhania because I'm going to try to mix it up with the mix. I don't want it to be too green. Thereafter, I have a few sprigs of shallot, and you can see just 3 of this mint and the chili, green chili. And I have a large onions that chopped, but I am going to use it accordingly to the mix. I won't be using much. And because I'm using onion, I'm going to put in a pinch of salt to it. I'm only putting salt to the onions because the bhajia mix has its own salts. Okay, first I'll start with a handful of onions. And I will cut in my chilies, which is optional if you have children's eating. The pinch of salt for the onion that I just added in, and all this leafy stuffs will be cut in finely. I'll first take a handful of my dhania and I'll chop it in finely because we don't like the bhajia to be too leafy, and it will turn out to be too green in color. I will mix all these ingredients and my greens together. I have a cup of water, of which I'm going to pour in slowly and see how much is required. That was 1 cup. So now I'm going to bring in more water because it has to be not too thick. It has to be a little runny so it will fry in properly. I will pour in the water gently because I'm not going to use in the entire cup. So it was 1¼ cup of water that went in to 250 gram of bhajia mix. So this is how it look after mixing. And now I'm going to fry it out. I've got about 3 centimeter of oil in a small deep pot, of which I'm going to fry my chili bite in, and I have a small bowl of water which I'm going to dip my fingers in, and I usually like using my hand. And I've got it on moderate heat. It's not too high, neither it's too low. If you go too low, then your chili bite will get oily. If you go too high, then it might not cook inside. You can see the mixture is not too runny, neither it's too stiff. You can just slip through your fingers. It's looking nice. Chili bite or bhajia is a all-time snack. It takes about 15 minutes to fry out. Okay, the chili bite has gone nice and red, so that goes to show it's cooked. I'm going to take off this lot. I just want to break one and show you the inside. It's looking nice. Now I'm going to do the next batch, dipping my fingers in the water. Now the chili bite is made. If you really want to know whether it's cooked, you have to break it apart and see the inside has to be dry. Out of the 250 gram of chili bite, I made almost 2 dozen of chili bite, but it depends how big you are making your chili bite. Now I'm going to show you the second method of making chili bite. We are actually going to make it from scratch. I've got 2 cups of gram flour sieved out, and then I have a teaspoon of mixed masala, a small teaspoon of fine salt, a teaspoon of mixed herbs, a teaspoon of dhania and jeera powder, and 2 cloves of garlic that I crushed. Then you remember I had 1 large onions cut for my first bhajia making, so I got half of that onions, and I've got green chilies, and the dhania that I used, I've got half of that dhania, and there's something extra to go in. This is spinach, of which we actually call it bhajia leaf. They sprouted in the garden, and I cut them and washed and cleaned, but I'm going to use accordingly to the mixture. I won't be using much of it. And then I have a cup of water to add in to the mixture gradually. I will use in my mixed herbs, garam and jeera powder, the salt, chili powder, the garlic. This method was done by the older generation when chili bite mixture wasn't invented. I cut in my green chilies finely. Again, if you have children eating that don't like green chilies, it's optional. I will just take a handful, but because it's so small, I'll just cut it in roughly, and then I'll stir in my water and see whether I require more or not. I'm going to mix all this together. Gram flour bhajia, it normally comes out sort of dryish, not too oily. Now I'm going to just put in the water gradually and see how it goes. Again, we mustn't make our dough too runny or too stiff, so that's just a cup of water. So this, I use 2 cups of gram flour to a cup of water. While mixing in the water, I think a little extra water, which made it a little runny. I can actually handle it, but the viewers might not be able to handle it. That's the reason why I got another 1/4 cup of gram flour. I'm going to put it in and try to make it a little stiffer. You can see. And then I just use my hands. I must also note that onions let out water. It's 2 1/4 cup of gram flour to a cup of water. To test the salt, we put a little bit of the mixture into the frying pan and we tasted it. It was okay. Then you can test your salt in the same manner, and then you can continue making of the bhajia. This chili bite will take slightly longer than the box chili bite. It will take about 20 minutes to make each batch. Now this lot is done, but if you feel you like your chili bite more fluffy, you can add in 1 teaspoon of baking powder to your mixture at the beginning. I added baking powder to my second mixture, and this is how it looks, much more fluffier than the first lot. You can choose whether you want it crispy or fluffy. Here's the two different types of chili bite. This one, the front ones are without the baking powder, and the back ones with baking powder. You see the baking powder made it sort of fluffy and brownish. There you go, a lovely full platter of bhajia, which has three types. One is straight from the box, and the other two is from scratch. One is without the baking powder, one is with the baking powder, and served with a lovely dip, and you can have it with tea or coffee. Thanks for watching.